Good evening to all you heroes out there, and thanks for tuning in tonight. So, I'll just be focusing on alcohol and substance abuse because it's shocking and alarming. The stats, in Zim right now, and how all our major newspapers have been zeroing in on this story, but it doesn't seem to change. So, yeah, I had the pleasure of meeting with Dave. And Dave has started his own organization that helps people who are recovering because he's a recovering addict himself. So yeah, just enjoy our discussion. Thanks. I'm here with Dave. He's going to introduce himself and just tell you a bit about what has brought him to this point and what exactly they're doing to help the community on substance abuse, alcohol and substance abuse.
Hi, my name's David. I am the co-founder and Operations Director of Kurarama Trust. It is a partnership with Highlands Presbyterian Church in Harare. What we do is we help individuals, families and communities affected by substance abuse. We work in 4 areas. We work in prevention, which is to do with awareness and education interventions in schools and with communities. We work on treatment. Our model of working on treatment is not that we treat or that we counsel people, but what we do is we connect people to the right help for them. So we listen to people, stories and struggles, and we try and guide them. Our understanding is not every person that is that is abusing a substance is an addict or an alcoholic, and that even when dependency becomes the case, not everybody needs to be treated in a residential treatment facility. There are some people that can work with their church. There's some people that can work with a counselor. There's some people that just need to go to a self-help program. But there are some people that need treatment in a residential environment. So we listen to stories. We make sure that it is sustainable to them, and we understand the environment that they're living in. Our support is very much focused on supporting families that are affected. So particularly when a family member is in residential treatment, we support families through family programs, education, and getting them ready to adjust their lifestyles, because our understanding is that this is a family disease and it is not only the addict who needs to change, it's the whole family, the whole environment, the whole context of the family. In terms of the topic needs to change. And then we work on development. Development is essentially what we're doing here today. So it's discussing policy matters, whether that is on a national level or a private level. So as far as private level, it's organizational or school policies on, let's say, in terms of discipline. So when we educate, we've been to some schools where we've educated them, enlightened them more on the real facts of substance abuse, and they've come back to us and say, if this is the truth, which is backed up on evidence, it's all evidence-based information, maybe the policies need to be reconsidered so that we're not adding to the problem. And we do a fair amount of lobbying of government. So that is why we're here today. Government has bought into the idea that policies need to be relooked at, updated, put in place. Minimum norms and standards for treatment need to be relooked at. And we are very grateful to be able to hold hands with the government to drive this matter at the stakeholders meeting.
All right. That was going to be my next question, because in my research I've seen that in places like the UK, Canada and the likes, the government is very active and they fund a lot of these programs going on and stuff like that. So I wanted to check, apart from policy making and the likes, is there sort of funding you expect from the government? Is there potentially any sort of funding that can actually come from the government, looking at what we're going through currently? And apart from that, if they cannot do any funding, are they assisting you to get it maybe from elsewhere?
Our view as an organization is that the concept of funding needs to be relooked at, and from our own organization, it's about contextualizing where are we at as a nation, as a community, as an organization. Funding, I think, we need to broaden our perspective on that.
Okay.
We've just had a discussion here at the stakeholders meeting on this very topic, and our view is that we have to come to a point of acceptance on certain matters. Our government coffers and let's not discuss why, but our government just coffers, the pockets are empty. Does that mean that government cannot invest into these matters? No. What we believe is government can invest purely by work, so they can open up the space by allowing policy legislation to be re-looked at. They can open up the space as far as regulations are concerned to allow for treatment facilities to open in a reasonable way, yes, under policies that are about minimum norms and standards to protect addicts, to protect people working in the facilities and all that. But if they make it open, private investment will get confidence, private investment will start looking at it. At the moment, what we know, and government departments that we talk to are starting to buy into this, that there needs to be a review of how we look at the topic. Government can do that for free. Is government providing us with money? My answer to your question is it's not an expectation of ours in any case.
Okay, all right. Great answer. All right, just one last question. Is there any, maybe bring it closer to home, is there any other African country that you can say you'd want to benchmark their programs or policies on that maybe would be similar to what we can do in Zimbabwe? Have you experienced anything else within Africa where they're trying to change people's mindsets or towards substance abuse? Is there anywhere where you can say we can benchmark?
I'm not so certain after today's stakeholders meeting whether that is the case, that we would want to necessarily benchmark ourselves based on a region, another country from our region or even continentally. But what we have learned here today is that the truth of having yesterday toured a few facilities, government facilities in particular, with a delegation from South Africa and the UK who work in this field, who have understood their government, the corridors of their government dealing with this. And actually Zimbabwe has got infrastructure. We have got things in place that we need to use and implement it. And so again, my answer to your question is we need to it's the same as how I answered the funding question. We need to rethink about how we want to benchmark ourselves. We've had speakers here from South Africa and the UK today who've got many years experience in dealing with this. Some of the speakers have worked in their countries on a government level. One of the things we asked them to speak into is we want to know the mistakes they made, because if they've made mistakes, we don't want to make the same mistakes. So a lot of the discussion regarding considering neighboring countries and all that is looking at their mistakes. Okay. We don't want to make mistakes. Mistakes are costly. Yeah, sure. But that doesn't mean that by suggesting I don't believe that we should necessarily benchmark ourselves. It doesn't mean that we don't have to be able to draw down on their good experiences. South Africa is far more advanced in the policies that are on the ground. What we have learned today is that within South Africa's policies, there is things that are not relevant. There are things that don't make any sense. There are things that are restrictive. We've learned that today. I understand from our own research that there is a lot of advanced work that happens in Kenya on a community level. There's a lot of advanced work that happens in Ghana as well. So I know from a government perspective as well as a private perspective, there are organizations that are looking regionally, internationally at what is happening, and it's about information sharing, it's about learning.
Yeah, true. All right, so just to conclude, so maybe for someone who is currently in recovery right now, I don't know, is there any bit of advice that you want to give them, or would you want to point them in the right direction? And if you're interested, maybe to give out your contact details, maybe you could do that as well. Yeah.
So from the standpoint of a recovering addict, what I can say is I know from the journey I've walked, there is hope. There is a way out of this. Is it easy? No, it is not. Is it simple? It can be simple. I think we must accept that there's a difference between easy and simple. I know from myself, from many peers, from many friends, and from the discussions that we've had here today, that there is a simple approach, that there is a way out. Addicts are not horrible people. They just do horrible things. And we buy into the model of it as a disease. And we treat it and we address it from that perspective. You can look us up on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Kurarama Trust-Zimbabwe.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, David. It's been great chatting with you, and I hope someone will definitely get in touch with you and you can help them in their recovery process. But thank you for what you're doing for Zimbabwe. Thank you for what you're doing for recovering addicts as well.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated. Thanks. All right. So as Dave put it, there is hope. So if you know anyone who's struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse, or if you're going through anything, get in touch. We'll be able to point you in the right direction. You can follow me on Twitter at Tino Guitima. You can like my Facebook page, Tino Guitima. I'm on Instagram as well as at Tex on Fire, and on LinkedIn as well. My name is over there, Tino Philip Guitima. So subscribe to the page, people, and let's keep spreading the word. We're all heroes, and one step at a time we can help each other overcome.